and welcome here to TalkFCB, and welcome back to the channel here today, guys, where we are back with a big one. And this is a very important video here. We're going to be talking about the sale of Vitor Roque there, all the details behind that one, and my thoughts really on how all of that played out with Roque at Barca. But we're also going to be talking about another Brazilian. You may have heard of him. It's Neymar. Because let me just tell you now, these rumours that we've been hearing about Neymar, about Barca, about a potential return, they are actually real. They are genuinely real right now. And that is why today we need to have the entire debate about Neymar and about a potential return. We've got lots to talk about on that, along with as well a few words from an old friend in Gerard Pique. He has had some very, very controversial takes this week. A proposed shake-up of the game of football as we know it. I want to get your thoughts on that, guys, so it's all on the way. Coming up for you. Now let's do this. But if we do, first of all begin with a very special super thanks shout out here, and these ones are my absolute favourites, because I would like to wish a very, very happy birthday to Elliot. I really, really hope that you've had a fantastic day, and I hope you can celebrate your big birthday weekend here with an important Barca win on Sunday there. So a real big thank you for all of the support there, and a big thank you as well to your friend here, who clearly is a good one. But let's start here with Vitor Roque, because right now his move to Palmeiras, it is 100% wrapped up. It does have the Fabrizio Romano here we go treatment, and all parties have now agreed the terms, including Real Betis. Now let me just say on this one, guys, La Liga and the RFEF, I mentioned this before, they tried to stop this move. You know, they effectively tried to intervene and stop it happening because of some legal details or some nonsense that they just plucked from somewhere. They actually tried to stop it, and Barca, in order to get this over the line, they had to go above La Liga, above the RFEF, and went straight to FIFA to ultimately say, look, can we do this deal? And in the end, the green light has been given. La Liga are not happy, but when are they ever with Barca? But the good news is that it will now be going through. And I think it's really important here. Barca will receive 25 million euros for this deal, plus 5 million in variables and a sell-on clause in this deal. Now, I am really surprised that we have got that kind of money for Roque. And that's not to say here that he's not a talented player, you know, that he can't go back to Brazil here and really impress at Palmeiras. I understand all of that, but I just mean right here, Barca paid 30 million euros for Vitor Roque there, when the hype surrounding him as a talented striker was at its absolute peak. And of course it could have been higher than that. We could have ended up paying more, but the variables in that deal were not met. So it was a 30 million transfer fee. And what Barca have been able to do right here is recoup most of that, and that is a really big thing for us financially, and of course ultimately to put this kind of deal behind us. Because I've just got to say here, in terms of this Vitor Roque situation, I've been really disappointed by the way that it's all been handled, and I have to say a lot of the responsibility, a lot of the blame, it actually lies with Barca. The way that we brought him in, the way that we actually then brought him in even earlier than he expected, only to end up not really playing him, and then actually when he was supposed to arrive, you know, last summer, he was then just loaned out anyway. He was never really given much of an opportunity, and of course it could have been said the move came too soon for him, that maybe the attitude wasn't quite right from the word go. Of course he hasn't really set the world alight at Real Betis either. Maybe he needed more time there to grow, develop, play and score in Brazil before making that big move to Europe. And there were lots of things here that just simply did not work out. And also, guys, I want to just mention on this one, due to Betis actually agreeing on their side, of course it was all hinging on them agreeing to end the loan deal early. Now, because they have agreed to do that, Barca have also then agreed to give them a higher rights percentage of Abde, of course, who left Barca there for Real Betis. Now, currently, we still own 50% of Abde's rights, but that will now decrease as part of the agreement here between the two clubs. Barca actually have a really good relationship with Betis. We don't actually have a good relationship with everybody in La Liga, but Betis are one of the clubs that we do get on with. And right now, Vitor Roque, he's on his way back to Brazil. I wish him all the best. You know, I hope that he can still go on and have an exciting and a very, very good career. but unfortunately at Barca, for many, many different reasons, both on the field and off it just did not work out. Which is very interesting indeed, guys, because now we do move on to another Brazilian whom it very much did work out at Barca. Neymar here was an absolute genius in the way that he was playing, and of course we all enjoyed him for many, many seasons, but then he did decide to leave, and that was a move that shocked and really hurt many of us. I know many Barcelona fans will not only forget that, but they will never ever forgive Neymar for the move that he took there, leaving Barca for Paris Saint-Germain. But here's the question. Could he come back? Is it possible that he could actually return? Because let me just say, guys, we hear this every year. We hear this probably every 6 months. Ever since Neymar has left, admittedly, he himself wanted to come back. You know, he's been very, very open in saying, look, since the moment I walked away from Barca, I actually did regret the move. I actually did wish I didn't do that, and I would have stayed. So at least he has the honesty and maybe the bravery to admit that was a massive, massive mistake. It clearly was. Will he ever get his wish of returning? Because recently we've heard lots of rumours about Neymar coming back, about Neymar maybe achieving that last dance at Barca that he so desperately wants, but all of us have kind of thought, well, that's just not happening. You know, you're 33 years old now, you've had injury problems, of course, he went to Saudi Arabia, now he's gone back to Brazil where it all started for him at Santos, so clearly it's not really going to happen. But here's the thing, because as I said there in the intro to this video, the rumours are real. This is not just about speculation. This is not just about empty paper talk. Because I would like to talk to you about a report here from David Ornstein. Now, that name in football may or may not be familiar to you right here. He is a journalist based in the UK. But let me just say, David Ornstein is an incredibly reliable journalist there. I would say one of the most reliable journalists out there when it comes to transfers. If he says something about a potential deal, it's happening. It's real. He does not speak there based on empty speculation. And he says right here, there have been discussions between Neymar's camp and between Barca. There have been some very early talks about a potential return this summer. Now, Neymar, he wants Barca. That is absolutely crystal clear. He will do anything that it takes in order to come back and sort of realise that dream all over again. Now, Ornstein does admit, look, a lot still needs to happen. This is a deal that would take a bit of work. There is lots that needs to be discussed on both sides, but he admits it is possible. The talks are ongoing. The talks are happening. This is real. And I was shocked by that. I've got to be honest with you guys. I did not expect us to be talking about this move as a genuine possibility. And what we are hearing now off the back of that report there from Ornstein, lots of other journalists getting involved, lots of other reports coming out. And what we can gauge really from the feeling right now is, well, Neymar has gone back to Santos to regain his match sharpness, of course. He had a long-term injury when he was out there in Saudi Arabia, did not play much football at all. That's why now he's gone back to Santos, where it all began. He wants to play there. He wants to play regularly. I think he wants to feel the love from the fans as well. You're seeing him already enjoying his football again, playing with a smile on his face, playing with the kind of freedom and excitement that you want to see from Neymar. And of course, his golden ambition as well, along with joining Barca in the summer, making that return, is then gearing up for the 2026 World Cup. So Neymar here, he wouldn't just be coming back to Barca to lounge around, to have a good time, to basically just achieve that move and then relax. He is coming back with an ambition, with a point to prove, and ultimately to get himself ready for a massive World Cup in 2026 for Brazil, and he wants to be in tip-top condition for that tournament, guys. So off the back of all of that, I mean, what do you make so far? You know, can you believe here that we're genuinely in talks to re-sign Neymar? Do you see it as a possibility? Do you see it as something that can happen? But there's lots of other things to consider here. Number one on my list would be, will his body hold up? You know, this is something that we have to discuss here. Right now, he's playing more and more minutes for Santos. He has put together a run of games, which is really, really good to see. But like I've mentioned in the past, La Liga now is a lot more physical. You know, we see some of the challenges that Lamine Yamal has to go through there. Some of the tackles coming in on Barcelona players and ultimately the lack of protection from referees. La Liga teams nowadays are very, very physical. Will Neymar's body hold up not only to those physical challenges, but also the intensity again of a top league, La Liga, the Champions League? You know, he hasn't played in the very top European leagues for several years now. So is Neymar even ready to be talking about playing for Barca? Is he at that stage of his career anymore where he can contribute? Because then I would actually talk about, you know, a potential position. You know, where would Neymar fit in? What kind of role would he have? Where would he be best suited? Because in my opinion, guys, there is no free role in a Hansi Flick team. It's not as though you can say here, bring Neymar in and he's that luxury player. He can have freedom, he can roam around. That doesn't really exist here. Every single player in Hansi Flick's team, they are expected to work, they're expected to run, they're expected to bring the intensity for every single minute. Can Neymar do that? Can Neymar, again, can his body, can his mind really lock in to that kind of team? And I would argue here, the only real position at Barca whereby it doesn't maybe have quite the same physical demands, I'd say the number 9 role. That's the one role at Barca right now where maybe you're not required to run as much. Of course, we've seen Lewandowski in that role. He's aging. He doesn't really contribute as much off the ball anymore. And Bio has pointed out here that Lewandowski, he shouldn't be playing 90 minutes every game. What is going to happen next season, of course? Lewandowski is staying, but will he be playing all of the time? We've even seen Dani Olmo in a false 9 role. My question would be, is there any sort of idea that Neymar could play a false 9, that he could actually be the man there in that role, linking things up there, combining with the wide players, not so much responsibility off the ball there in that kind of position? Or would he simply be coming in as squad depth? I mean, it's hard to imagine, you know, a player like Neymar with what he's achieved, with the kind of player that he can be, the talent that he has, talking about him as depth, it kind of seems absurd. But, you know, would he be at left wing? Because let's be honest here, Rafinha is irreplaceable. What he has done this season on the ball, off the ball, what he's contributing, you don't take him out the team for pretty much anybody right now. So would Neymar come in and essentially not be in that starting lineup there? Would he add to the squad? And I also just want to touch on something here that's been reported in the media right now by Neymar's camp, have apparently actually told Barcelona in these initial talks here, one of the selling points that they've actually brought to the club is, well, Neymar will fill up the stadium. Thinking, of course, about the new stadium in Barcelona, the new Camp Nou, they say that Neymar will help fill up that stadium there and bring people to see the club. Now, let me just say on this, I believe that we can fill the stadium no matter who is there. I think with the kind of football that Hansi Flick is playing right now, the kind of success that we are seeing, the excitement in this young Barcelona team, people will come and watch it. Let me make no mistake about that, because the only reason, by the way, the Olympic Stadium is not full every single week, it's down to location. It's as simple as that there. There's a massive hill going up to the stadium. It is not easy for all spectators to get there for every single game, especially elderly ones as well. So the only reason it's not full is because of the location. When we return properly home, I have absolutely no doubt that it will be full, that we will be seeing great attendances, and I don't think we need Neymar to sell tickets there. Now, of course, there's no doubting he will bring a lot of commercial revenue to Barcelona. He has the Neymar brand. The two of them go together very well. There's no doubting that Neymar would help the club financially, commercially. There's no doubting that at all. But guys, is it a risk that you would take here? Is there enough in there, you know, on a free transfer? We don't know about the kind of wages. But look, if Neymar is willing to do anything to come back, well, wages really shouldn't be a problem. Would you add him to the dressing room? Would you have any doubts there about what he would bring, what he would do to the group, the kind of dynamic that we're building? I think it's a big question. And I think this is actually a debate that, honestly, we could go on and on about. My personal opinion, I say it every time that I talk about Neymar, why did he go? He could still be here now. He could still be such a massive part of this team. He could have had a completely different career had he not walked away from this club. And like I said recently, Messi begged him not to go. Messi said, I will give you everything. I will make you the best player. and he still walked out the door. Why? Why did he do that? That is my overall point here, my overall frustration, and maybe that will never, ever go away. But would you take this risk? Would you take it on? Is there enough reward to that risk? That is the big question that no doubt we are going to still be talking much more about. However, guys, I did promise all of you some controversial Gerard Pique words there. So let's get into them. Let's talk about exactly what Pique has been saying and what it could mean for the game of football. Because he was basically on a podcast there and he was speaking about the way the game maybe needs to evolve, needs to change. We hear this a lot in modern day football, you know, different things that we can do to spice it up and make it more entertaining, really. I think mainly we've got to kind of leave it alone. The more changes that we seem to make the football actually take away from the product that we all absolutely love. But Pique says there that you cannot go to a football stadium, spend €100, 200, 300, and the match ends at 0-0. He said something needs to change. One proposal I would consider is that if the match ends at 0-0, both teams get no points. They take absolutely nothing from the game, because I'm convinced that in the 70th minute of the game, if it's 0-0, the game would open up more. So Pique is basically saying there, a 0-0 is basically like a loss for a team. That's the way that he would play it there. Nobody would get points if there's no goal, if there's no willingness to score. Nobody gets anything, because you shouldn't be paying your money to go and watch a game that ends 0-0. Now, I've got to say, guys, first of all, there can actually be exciting 0-0s. I don't think we should just basically base everything here around goals. You know, if there's a goal in the game, if there's lots of goals in a game, that makes it a great game. Sometimes it's not actually about that there. You can have incredible tactical displays there. You can have really exciting matches end to end that just happen not to have any goals scored in the end. Sometimes football can throw up those strange sorts of situations, but what I would clamp down on and find some way to clamp down on it, I do hate the anti-football. You know, I do hate the fact here that a lot of teams, teams, and I'm not just talking about teams who are lower league. I know that people are fighting for points. I know the defensive football is certainly very rewarding too, but I'm talking about people that are not playing defensively. They're not playing at all. They haven't even arrived into this stadium here to play a game of football. They want to waste time, they want to break up play, they want to make it really physical and ultimately really go above the law in terms of the tackles that they're making. We have to find a way somehow of clamping down on anti-football, where we're seeing actually nothing. But guys, what I would just like to say here about Pique's words is we're talking about, you can't pay €100, €200, €300 and go and watch a 0-0. It's funny then that right now in football we're looking at ways to change the game here. What can we do to justify those prices, instead of actually saying, well, maybe bring them down then. Instead of changing the whole game here, instead of actually changing the rules of the game that we love, why don't we again make it more affordable for match-going fans? Why don't we actually bring those prices down instead of looking to change rules to the game that we love? So guys, it's an interesting point of view. I do hate the anti-football. I do hate teams who play negatively, who don't want to actually contribute to the spectacle, to the game, to make it a real contest. But I feel like there's other ways to go about it there. I feel as though maybe it's difficult to sort of do one size fits all. Because like I say, there can be good 0-0s. There can be really exciting 0-0s as well. So they'd be punishing absolutely everyone. But guys, please do let me know in the comments down below. We have talked about some big topics here today. Vitor Roque, the Neymar debate, and now these words from Pique. I would like to hear all of your thoughts in the comments down below. I will see you soon, of course. Big game coming up on Sunday for Barca, away at Real Sociedad. I will see you then for all of the build-up. But until next time, guys, as always, Vesca, Real Barca.